Hey guys, it's been a minute since my last video, huh? But don't worry, I'm not dead. I'm doing good. I just finished up my degree and I'm excited to be able to bring you more frequent content on this channel. So, without further ado, let's begin talking about what you can do this weekend to get ready for Season 14, Season of the Splicer. First and foremost, if you haven't already, try to complete any seasonal bounties that might award you Bright Dust, especially the last goal, which gives you 4,000 Bright Dust. While this might not seem that important, I say it simply because it's something you can accomplish just by playing the game, and you can multitask with other steps too that I'm going to discuss later on. But first and foremost, Bright Dust is something you can never have too much of, and 4,000 is a lot, basically 2/3 of an armor set. If you're only a few steps away, such as 71, 72 out of 75 for that requirement, I encourage you to take some time this weekend if you have it, and grind out whatever it is you still need. Whether it's an armor set, exotic sparrow, ship, or emote, don't miss out on something simply because you didn't do this seasonal quest, which is arguably very easy to accomplish. Next up is bounties. Bounty hoarding is nowhere near as effective as it was in past seasons due to the bounty changes and the introduction of seasonal quests, but it's still something that is really effective in giving you a head start. If you have the time to do it, I encourage you to do so. I myself have about 2 pages or so of bounties saved up, and I've been waiting to turn them in for whenever I get the new artifact when the season starts. Just a quick note, at most you can hold 63 bounties, especially when you consider per character, but you'll probably have closer to 58 or 59 because, for example, your Hammer of Proving or your Lure module, those take up bounty slots, so you'll probably have closer to the high 50s. I want to point out again, this isn't necessary. You're not going to fall behind if you don't do this, so please don't feel like if you don't bounty hoard, you're going to be way behind for the rest of the season. You'll be fine, but this is just a quick head start that I want to consider, and there's a few reasons I'll also get into later about why specifically I'm doing this. If you do want that head start though, listen up. If you're not sure what bounties to hoard, here's a quick rundown. Any weekly bounty from anyone that sells them is something you should definitely have. Weekly bounties that are still available give 12,000 XP, and they're the greatest purchasable source of XP in the game. But with the implementation of seasonal weeklies, as I'm sure you've noticed, they give a lot of XP. So our goal is without the inclusion of older weeklies from the core playlist that were taken away, how can we save up as much XP as possible? And the simple answer is having as many of these weekly sources as you can. The only ones that are remaining are from Shao Han on the Cosmodrome, Eris and the Lectern on the Moon, Varix on Europa, Spider's weekly bounty, and if you have them saved, the Iron Banner bounties are very good. A quick bonus too, if you did save the Iron Banner bounties from this season, when you turn them in next season, you'll actually get the new Iron Banner weapons early, which is a very cool little thing you can do, and perhaps land a few god rolls of guns that technically aren't even available yet. The second thing that you want to start hoarding is daily bounties, and these are different from the repeatable ones you can also get. Daily bounties give 6,000 XP, and if you can, try to fill as many dailies as you can between now and when the season starts if you plan on bounty hoarding. These can be from Devrim, Failsafe, core playlists like Strike, Gambit, and Crucible, Gunsmith, and more. As I mentioned, these give around 6,000 XP, so they're not as good as weekly bounties, but there are much more of them, and also they're included in the core playlist, so many people will actually do these just habitually when they go to play the game. The biggest thing is you don't want to hoard any repeatables if you can save on it. Repeatable bounties are the ones at the very end of the tab that you can just get a whole bunch of every single day and generate through. These are pretty decent, they still give 4,000 XP, but you definitely want to try to have as many dailies and weeklies as you can, and then fill in the gaps with what's left over from those repeatable bounties. They typically give, again, 4,000 XP and a little bit of Bright Dust as well, so don't feel bad if you have a whole bunch of them saved up, don't feel like you shouldn't hoard them. If you have the space and there are no other bounties available, or you just don't feel like doing any more bounties, these are still a good option. 4,000 XP is still 4,000 XP. And then finally, the greatest source of the XP, like I said, is the seasonal weekly bounties that are in your quest tab. If you plan on doing a level grind, especially if you wanted to save up your light and unlock some artifact mods, especially for the new the revamped Vault of Glass coming out, having a few of those artifact mods might be pretty beneficial to you. And these seasonal weekly bounties are going to be the best source of XP. I'm still not really sure the exact amount of XP they give, but I do know that these can give double, even quadruple sources of XP. They can give additional bright dust, even weapons in some cases, and oftentimes simply turning in the lowest ranking ones will give you an entire level of XP. So if your goal is to try to level up that artifact, for example, when the new raid comes out and do a world's first, this is the best and most important thing to consider outside of bounty hoarding in terms of just getting as much XP as you can. They have, again, such huge potential to reward you other items too, that these are a must if you want to just get as high as you can in terms of level cap. So let's just say you have all these bounties saved up, you're ready for the new season. What should you do? The biggest thing is do not turn them in when the new season starts. If you turn them in as soon as you get in, yeah, you'll level up your season pass to however many levels you get, but you're missing out on the biggest selling point of doing this, and that is with the artifact. Now, just a quick note, and this is mainly applying to World's First and Vlog rating, so if you're not someone that's going to participate in that, don't worry about it, but I would still stick around for the general point. So, the Vault of Glass challenge cap, kind of like how they implemented it with the Deepstone Crypt raid, is 1300 power. Not 1310, 1320, whatever, 1300. So if you are at the power cap of this season, you're actually done. There's no need to go grind out any higher powerful gear than what you have already. You might want to go out and get a few more different guns. I highly recommend, for example, linear fusions, as they're going to get that reserve buff as well as a 15% damage or precision damage buff as well. So they might be a pretty good choice for certain sections of the raid if you plan on doing it. But again, the main thing that we're going for here is artifacts, because when Destiny and various members of the Destiny team, like Luke Smith, for example, mentioned they're bringing back Fog, they didn't want to just bring it back, copy and paste from D1. We are much more powerful in PvE than we were in D1. You know, I'm sure a lot of veterans can just assume that Atheon, if it was copy and paste, would die in 5 seconds to a bunch of Thunder Crash Titans. You know, Templar would just basically be Warmind still spam, because a good portion of the raid is just ad clear. So they're probably going to bring back a lot of the concepts and mechanics of the raid, but implement things in much greater difficulty. So I'm assuming if you've done Vault of Glass, those hobgoblins on the side are probably going to be anti-barriers. There's probably going to be like all different kinds of champions throughout the raid. Probably a lot of hydras coming in, hydras and wyverns. So there's a lot going to happen in that raid. And one of the biggest things I feel is having some overload or anti-barrier mods that might be in the artifact are very important for that. So how do we maximize our XP in that time to ensure that we can get certain mods that might benefit us, as well as even potentially getting some debuff or buff mods that might be only exclusive to the season pass that might make certain strategies more viable for the raid? This is what you do. If you want to maximize your XP gains from your bounty hoarding, the best rundown is this. Make sure that you have blinding light on your ghost to increase all XP gains by 16%. And if you can, be in a fire team to overall increase your XP gains by another 5%. You can also have a small bonus on your 5 first levels of Season Pass XP, and this all contributes to your XP gains. So what you would do, theoretically, is go in, complete whatever seasonal introduction there is, get the artifact, hop on a fire team, and then pop all of your bounties. And this 16% increase on top of a 5% increase and that well-rested first 5 levels bonus all increase your XP gains for that initial season. This factors into a total decent boost to your XP and should be more than enough to get you multiple levels on the Season Pass, as well as 1 or maybe even 2 unlocks on the seasonal artifact right out of the gate. Now, moving past that and prepping on for seasonal content. If you haven't already, try to maximize your Hammer of Proving in the War Table and the Helm, and the biggest reason for this is because the Umbro Engram decoders and casters are not going away. So next season, with all these new weapons, I'm sure you've seen like they're introducing dozens of new weapons next season. If you want to try to get a god roll on a weapon that turns out to be, hey, this is really good in PvE or this is really good in PvP, if you want to try and get that god roll, having that fully upgraded is going to benefit you by giving you, more hammer charges, more Cabal gold gains, etc., etc. Having more availabilities in the caster table for what you want to specify. There's a ton of benefits to having this fully upgraded. So if you have some time this weekend and you're missing a level or two, try to just grind that out and see if you can get it done, just so next season, if it's like, hey, this pulse rifle is basically Clever Dragon from D1, you might want to get that. As for stockpiling materials, and this is pretty much the last section that I want to cover, here are the basics. Shaders are going away. If you have them in your collections, you'll have them for transmog. That's it. So if you have a whole bunch of shaders in your inventory like I did last week, just start going through them and deleting them. If you have stacks of more than 5, go to Rahul. He can help dismantle them very, very quickly. And overall, you get a pretty decent amount of legendary shards, and you get a lot of glimmer. And as anyone who can play early on in the season will tell you, glimmer is something you just start burning throughout the entire season. So you want to try to have as much as you can ready in case you're on the power grind and want to just get your level and light up as fast as you can. Another thing you can also do is go over to the gunsmith once you're done with Rahul, get a bunch of upgrade modules, that way you have them in your inventory, and if you get a new or better piece of gear, you can just upgrade it straight from there. You don't have to worry about going to the tower and making the whole process to get upgrade modules. I will point out you can hold 25 if you really wanted to, but don't feel like this is a requirement. Again, worst case scenario, you take a trip to the spider, you get some glimmer or whatever else that you need, and go to the gunsmith. But this is just kind of to help prep you, improve quality of life, so to speak. If you really want to get serious, you can also do what I call extreme hoarding, and this is where you basically cheat the system almost. For example, you can only have 250,000 glimmer. That's a fact. But what you can do is, if you know you're going to keep playing the game and you're going to miss out on getting a lot of glimmer from playing activities in Destiny 2, you can end up buying exotic sparrows and storing them in your postmaster. Now I want to point out this will result in a net loss of glimmer, but what happens is that whenever you dismantle an exotic sparrow, you get 3,000 glimmer. So if you know you're going to be playing the game a whole bunch still before the new season starts, and you're probably going to hit that glimmer cap even after you spend that money, you're technically holding however many times sparrow times 3,000 glimmer in your vault. So if you run out of glimmer and you don't want to go to spider, or you just don't want to waste materials on whatever the glimmer is selling for with spider, and you don't want to just go through random playlists and farm glimmer, you can just dismantle these sparrows and get a couple thousand glimmer fairly easily. Again though, this is pretty advanced stuff. Please don't feel like you have to do the search requirement. It's just for those who really want to optimize what they're doing. You can also do a similar thing with Ascendant shards. You can only hold 10, and if you want to hold more than that, and you know you're going to be running, for example, Grand Masters this weekend, you can start masterworking armor pieces and doing that. Again, you're going to end up with a net loss from when you masterworked into that armor material versus what you get out. But it's a way to say, hey, if I'm doing Grand Masters all weekend, I'm probably going to have at least a couple Ascendant shards received from that Grand Master activity. By masterworking this exotic armor piece, I can still hold 10 in my inventory as well as additional ones in my vault, so I'm technically past that 10 cap. Something like that. But again, I want to point out, at the end of the day, this is a video game. Do not feel this is mandatory. It is not something that if you pass up on, you're going to be behind on the season. It's just something I want to point out you can do if you want to maximize what you're doing. But by all means, if you want to go into this next season and just play the game, have fun, 100% go for it. This is not kind of like my whole, if you do this, then you're average at best, and if you don't do this, then you have no idea what you're doing, you're going to fall behind. Don't worry about it. You'll be just fine. But that's pretty much it, guys. I'm sure you guys saw, I believe it was 2 days ago, the new season trailer launched. Really excited for that new 6-man activity. I've already seen a few different things as well on expected armor pieces and exotic armor coming out. I'm definitely going to do a video on those. The Titan one seems really cool. The current leaks, the leaks itself say that the Titan armor piece essentially will grant you a weapon bonus from solar eliminations, which could play even better with the whole Warmind Cell build currently, but we have to definitely see how it stacks up against something like Phoenix Cradles. But realistically, I think it'll be a really good armor piece regardless. The exotic sidearm looks busted for PvP, but again, we're going to have to see how that goes. But I'm really excited, and even though a Vault of Glass is something that I've done from D1 dozens of times, and that I'm sure a lot of you have remembered and experienced yourself, and some of you probably even experiencing it for the first time, I'm really excited to see it. And the raid race on the 22nd is going to be something unprecedented, and I'm really excited to see how that turns out. But you can definitely believe that whenever the Titan exotics come out, I will do my best to get them, and I'll be putting up a build video or exotic review as soon as I can. But hey, if you liked the video, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more content like this. And thank you guys so much for your your support on previous videos. It was really incredible to see such universal admiration and love on the build guides, and I want to keep making more of those for you guys because I know how much fun you guys can have with those. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a good one.